Hey, this is drlindadavis, and today I want to walk through a Moodle assignment for the MBA class, and we're going to go through some basic statistics. And we have the PDF document there that you should download and print out to guide you along the way. We also need you to download this Excel sheet called Mr. O Survey, and then you have your submission spot when we're ready to submit after we finish this first one. This is part one. So let's get started. I've already downloaded the PDF, and I've already downloaded the Excel. So let's take a look at, let's go to the PDF first. The PDF gives you some basic statistical functions that Excel recognizes. We have the sum function and the count function, the count A function. On the other side of the page, we have the average function, which is otherwise known as the mean. And we have the median, which is calculates the middle value for a range of cells. Mode calculates the frequency, how many times did that particular value occur in the data. The standard deviation, you see the definition there for that. And there's two standard deviation ones. One's for population and one's just for a sample one. The sample one was the first one, as it says in the description. Min is the minimum value, the smallest value in the range you select. Max is used for finding the largest numerical value within that range. And then there's the confidence level that calculates the size of the confidence interval around the sample mean. So you can read through that definition as well. The Countif Function, it's somewhat of an if statement, so that if it sees something in cell B6, if it's what it should find, then count it. So I use it a lot of times for like attendance purposes. If there's an X on that particular row for that particular student's name, then that means they've been absent. So after a semester's worth of taking roll, I will build a Countif function and have it examine that range, which is that row for that student's name, and it'll actually count. I'll set it up to where it counts how many X's are on that particular row. So I don't have to sit there and count how many X's or how many times they were absent. So it's a very handy tool. So make sure you know Countif. And going down, we get into the actual problem from Mr. O's survey. It's like a snack bar. And Mr. O's survey, we want to do several calculations on that. We want to work from the data sheet. You're given more than one sheet, but you want to start with the data sheet. And we have 50 random samples of people that were surveyed. And we'll just walk through this. So the first part is telling us to, do the average. So we'll go to cell C55 and we'll calculate the average. We'll go to cell C56, we'll calculate the median. We'll go to cell C57 and we'll calculate the mode. So let's go ahead and do that as we work our way through this problem. So here's the sheet we downloaded. I am on the data sheet right now, which is where I want to be. Now I believe the calculations that we need to make are further down, because the first part is just simply the data from the survey. And I want to go down to cell C55 is where it sends us first. And what it wants us to do for daily cups of coffee is to find the average, which mean and average, same thing. So let's put that new formula in there, analyzing that. So we can say equals average, because that's what Excel understands. So equals average. And then we want to put the range of cells that we want it to examine. I believe that's C3 to C52. You can see the bottom of C52 right there, which C3 is the first item in the range and C52 is the last. So that's what we're putting in there. And that's according to the instruction sheet as well. So, and now I'll click enter to make that happen. So I have a mean of 2.28. Now, I also need to calculate the median, and it will be for the same range. So let's do that again. So this time for median. Median, you just put in the word median, so it's equals median. That same range, which was C3 to C52, end of parentheses, and then click enter. And that calculates it for you. Same thing with mode. You're going to use the mode Mode remembers frequency. How many times does does a certain number appear? I want to do the same range again, C3 to C52. 0, which means that by this answer being 0, it just means that 0 appears more than any other number in that particular range. The count function, it's just going to count how many items are in that range. So we will go through, and it doesn't count 0. I mean, it doesn't count blank cells. It just counts, if it had 0 in it, it's going to count it, but otherwise, if it's a blank cell, it won't count that one. Again, same range, C3 to C52. Hit enter. So you should have a count of 50 items in that range. Standard deviation, let's go through that. Let's see how closely packed it is around the mean. We will use just the STDEV version of standard deviation, and again the range is going to be C3 to C52. Pretty packed closely around the mean, I would think. The alpha it's already put in for you is 0.05, so a 95% confidence level there. So let's work on the confidence interval. That particular one, if I look on, I have to look back on my page for that one. To get the shape that should be in. So it's going to be equals confidence, and you can kind of see confidence dot norm pops up. You can click on that if you want to. Double click, makes it come up, and it also gives you the first parenthesis. You want the alpha first. Well, the alpha is found in cell C60, so we'll put cell C60 in. The next part it needs to see is the standard deviation. We have that in cell C59. And the last part of this is the size. The sample size in our case was found in count. Okay, so that's C58. So once all those cell names are in there, we're good to go, and we can hit enter, and it will do the calculation for us. So the confidence interval at 0.51. Min and max, that's not hard at all. That's just equals min for minimum, which you're asking for what's the smallest value in that range of cells. So again, C3 to C52. And max, same thing, equals M8. So we're on the min, it was obviously 0 was the smallest value in there. Equals max, same thing, same range, C3 to C52. And it's going to find the largest value in that range of cells, which is 7. And the range, we want to do a little bit of just nothing but subtraction on that, and that's just subtracting your minimum away from your maximum. So you have those values in here already. So that's C63 minus C62, and you should get, oops, I got something too much in it. Okay, yeah, let me go back and show you that again because it kind of jumped on me. So that's C63 minus C62, and the answer is obviously 7. Okay, now you're not quite done with this sheet yet. You have to, but the nice thing is you have the formulas in place for that particular column, and the cool thing is, like it instructs you in here as well, is that you want to drag this, if you do these calculations, you want to go in and drag them over, as you see in the instructions. And we can do the first part, starting with mean. And we could probably do it faster if we highlight from the mean value you got all the way down to the standard deviation part, and just get your skinny plus, is what I call it. Here's your fat plus. Here's your skinny plus that goes down to the very bottom there, and it will basically copy that formula over to the other columns, and it will also modify the cell names so that it's going to be looking up at a different range. It's going to look at the range for column D, the range for column E, because you can see that's hours on campus and that's weekly meals, which corresponds to what's going on above it. So it will put those values in for us. And we can pull that over, and you see the numbers are not the same as what you saw in column C. column D and E, it's working off, and I'll just click there so you can see that the range name automatically changed itself because we copied over one column, and it did something with that. Instead of saying C3 to C52, it made it D3 to D52. Okay, so it did that all the way down. And as well, it did it over here too. And let me show you this one as well. Average of E3 to E52. So that range will incorporate column E in the range it had. Notice it's not including column D or C. It's just we drug it over column by column, and that's how it changed it to column by column. Okay, so that takes care of that part. We also want to do the same thing down below. Obviously, the 0.05 is already there, so we don't need to do anything with that. But we can go down here and do the same thing. We can highlight confidence interval all the way down to range. And again, not fat plus, but the skinny plus right on that little box, that's tiny little box that's down there. And then hold your mouse down and drag that over. And it will, again, take and change the range on each column as you drag it over, as you can see here. Column D stuff, right, for MIM. And over here, obviously, it's going to be column E stuff for the confidence norm and all that. So it does a nice job of saving you some time because it just automatically knows it wants you to jump over to the next range in the next column. Now, to finish this one out, formatting-wise, you know, we need to just, it says for us to put a big, thick border around the rest of this table. So we'll do that. We'll highlight it first, then we'll go up to the font ribbon, and we'll go up to the border tool, and we'll select thick outside borders. And that neatens it up a bit. And I believe we may need to align the column headings. Let's just check. Column headings, they align to the right, looks like. That's good because you have numbers underneath. That's the rule for that. Let's check the ones up here. Everything looks a little bit centered, but that's okay. I think they're more concerned about this part being aligned appropriately. Now, we have a little extra to do on this. And this part, it's not hard. Excel does the work. You just have to know what to tell it to do. So on this next part of the PDF, it says check the data ribbon for the data analysis button. Okay, and you may not have a data button here. If you do have data as a menu item, you may not have the data analysis tool there or the analysis ribbon here. And if you don't have it, that's fine. I can show you how to add it. So what we're gonna do to if you don't have it, just go to File and go down to Options, which is the very last thing here on the left. And you're going to go to Add-ins. These are Excel options that you can ask of it. So with Add-ins, you just go down the bottom. It says Manage, okay, down here. And it says Excel Add-ins. And then hit Go. Now, what I already have checked is I checked these first two, Analysis Toolpack and Analysis Toolpack VBA. Okay, those are the two that tells you to check in the PDF document. All right, and then once you do that, you say OK, and then that adds it. Not hard at all. So let me exit out of that since I already have mine up and running. Okay, now on the data ribbon. You should have the data analysis button now. So I'm still on the data sheet, right? And I'm going to be in the data ribbon or the data menu item, and then in the analysis section you just added, there's data analysis, and that's what we need. Okay. What we want to ask of it is to say descriptive statistics. When we click on data analysis, this little screen comes up, and we want to go down here and pick descriptive statistics, and then you will just say OK to begin with. Okay, and then we need to worry about our input range. Okay, I've already got one in here, but apparently, but let me go in and click the little arrow next to it. and it will let me highlight what input range I want. And in the PDF, it says C2 to E52. All right, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to go find C2. Now notice C2 is a column heading, and that's okay. C2 to E52. So I'll hold my mouse down, C2 to E52. There's the E columns. Let me go all the way down to 52. I know it's quite a ways, which is the bottom of the data table here. Okay, make sure I'm there. I think I'm there. Yeah. And to double check yourself, you can always look up here. Notice as you were highlighting those what cells to include, it's building that range for you up here in this little descriptive statistics spot. Okay. And then we will click on that, and notice it's now put it up here in the input range. Now we're not quite done. We got a few extra things to do in this screen, and it says set the following. And your sheet looks a little different from the later versions of Excel, but it's just like a different font. It's pretty much the same words and everything. It says you should check labels in the first row, so check that. You should make sure it's on columns. Obviously that input range should be there. You should go down and say new worksheet ply stats, and then check mark summary statistics and confidence level for mean. So we're going to check those two, and confidence level for mean should be at 95% because you had a 5% alpha there, or 0.05 alpha. Okay. Now once you get all those items in there, you can say okay, and cool things are going to happen. And it automatically, and I should have probably said a little more about this. It says where the setting says new worksheet ply. You actually type stats in there. And what it does, it creates a new sheet called stats because that's what you told it to call it. And it creates this nice bit of extra data for each column. Now, it's not that formatted that great. I mean, it's kind of cramped. Like some of these column headings or columns, you need to widen them so they don't get cut off so bad. And you just kind of go through and widen the columns that you need to widen. I can tell that one got a little cut off, so I'll go up between C and D and widen that a bit. And same thing with column E, needs to be widened a bit. And let's see, I think pretty much that's still a little bit tight between C and D. Let me widen that just a bit. Okay. All right, so you can see now for all the different column stuff, we've got information, and it, Excel computed all that for you, and it's just a matter of putting in the right thing. So once you get this part done, you're finished with part 1 of the statistics homework. So you want to save this, obviously, and upload it to the submit link for part 1 for the statistics work. Okay? All right. Hope this helped you. Thanks for your time.